So the video game industry in 2025 is, well, really unlike anything that we have seen really ever before in the history of video games and video game consoles. Prices going up at an alarming rate, people having to decide whether or not they want to eat food or buy some video games that have also raised in prices, microtransactions, DLCs now getting higher prices, games costing you $90 plus for the full edition of it. It's something that has been creeping into the video game industry, but I feel like in 2025, it's definitely been a lot more pronounced. Now, I'm not even necessarily going to be talking about the whys of why this is happening, because I do feel like there are a multitude of factors that go into it. I'm more so interested, though, in the end result, because the end result is what we have to deal with as consumers, what we have to deal with as individuals. And every company is guilty of something that has alienated customers in one way or another. And I keep going back to my main focal point. If you're having to raise the price of these things constantly because of economic conditions, because of shareholders, because of tariffs, whatever the case may be, because I do think it is a diverse platform of different reasonings that go into it, how much do you really expect to be able to get out of an individual? When you look at every individual company has done something that has raised some eyebrows. Of course, PlayStation increasing the price of their PlayStation Plus service and premium prices going up at an alarming rate and stuff like that. How many people do you actually expect to be able to afford this consistently? How are you going to attract new customers to want to use PlayStation Plus and all of the different features of it going into PlayStation Plus Premium, which is now a very expensive thing? Now, yes, you do get a lot of benefit from PlayStation Plus Premium, but the fact of the matter is the benefit kind of leans into the nostalgic thing with like retro games and stuff like that. And they seem to be few and far between as far as when these games come out on the platform. You're getting less for your money, but you're still getting the same sort of end result. Microsoft, I mean, Jesus Christ, look at all the stuff they're doing. 2 price increases on consoles in 2025, $800 for a 2 terabyte Xbox Series X now. You're releasing a handheld platform that's coming out very soon with the ROG Ally Xbox X that's $900. Like, it's obvious you don't really plan on selling a lot of these. Maybe you do. Maybe there's some market research that says, oh, people are willing to pay $800 for an Xbox Series X that has 2 terabytes, even though they haven't really been all that interested in the standard Xbox Series X that launched at $500. From the little sales data that we have, we see things have kind of slowed to a trickle when it comes to console sales, but maybe they're trying to make it up with Game Pass and stuff like that. Okay, maybe, but eventually Game Pass is going to go up. Like, that's kind of the worst kept secret in the world. If people are not buying the console, I guess you're kind of relying on them to use Game Pass on PC or on another device, but there is a large amount of people who don't really want to deal with stuff like that. Then you have Nintendo. Like, man, they're doing a lot of interesting things. Game price increases, variable game pricing, as they called it. $70 for 2 Wii games that got a upscaling done to them. $80 for games like Mario Kart World that, I mean, I really don't see the $80 value in this. $80 editions of Nintendo Switch 1 games that you might not have picked up and play them on the Switch 2 with some additional content and graphical updates, Pokemons, all this sort of stuff. DLC, all of a sudden, a strong emphasis on DLC, not when the game has been out for a couple of months or even a couple of years, but pretty much instantaneously. Pokemon, we're already talking about DLC that comes out very early in 2026. Donkey Kong Bonanza, that's got DLC. More money, more money, more money. We got to get more money out of this. Rumors about consoles potentially going up in price, accessories going up in price. Whatever the reason is, whatever the reason may be, I'm not going to argue as far as what you feel about it and what you think the driving force of it is. Like I said, I'm not even necessarily interested in that. But what I am interested in is, well, what's next? What like what the hell is next? Like we're already talking about things like Xbox, the next generation of Xbox, the next generation of PlayStation 6, and potentially cheaper alternatives and cheaper SKUs, kind of like we've seen with like the Xbox Series X and S. But if those consoles, as they stand now, something like the Xbox Series S and X, consistently go up, it's not like they're going to be cheaper than whatever comes out in the future. Like people seem to have this thought in their mind that they're like, oh, well, maybe it'll be a little bit less expensive because they'll use different parts. And no, that's not the case here. That's not the case here. Things are going to continue to go up in price. You're probably going to see $1,000 consoles at that time when we start talking about the PlayStation 6 and the Xbox Series Z or whatever the hell they're going to call it or whatever. And it's like, are people really going to be, running out and buying these in full drove? Xbox as a brand, and when it comes to selling consoles, is definitely not the same Xbox as it was during the Xbox 360 era. Now, the PlayStation 5 has since moved into the default console, and they did have cheaper options, but those cheaper options are now becoming more expensive, and they're becoming higher priced and higher priced and higher priced. Prices are going up. Games are becoming less available. We're not releasing as many games as we were before. Game budgets are ballooning, so now we have to charge more money. We have to have better graphics. We have to have this, that, and the other. Nintendo sits there and they're like, well, we're doing things a little bit differently, but we can also charge these crazy prices if we really want to because we have a very dedicated fan base. We don't have to worry about justifying what we're doing when it comes to business and something like Mario Kart World being an $80 game. We have consumers that do that for us on social media. Nintendo diehards, people who live and breathe Nintendo. And if you say anything bad about us, they will strike you down with the will of God and make you feel like you are this tall. How dare you question Nintendo? How dare you? And I look at this industry, I look at everything going on, and I'm like, bro, we are quickly getting to a boiling point with this. We are quickly getting into a thing where video games are going to become a luxury again. The 16-bit era was a luxury item. It was a much smaller world. Games didn't have to sell all that much. There wasn't as much, situations with shareholders and all of that sort of stuff. No, it was a pure industry. It was an industry about evolving the video game medium, making things look better, competition, of course, trying to undercut other companies with prices and stuff like that. And it's the polar opposite of what we have now. As a generation goes along, your prices go up. As a generation goes along, the games don't necessarily get all that much crazier. Look at a leap from something like the Sega Genesis to the Sega Saturn, the Sega Saturn to the Sega Dreamcast, the NES to the Super NES. We don't have those technological leaps anymore because we've hit kind of a limit as to what we can do. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but companies, I feel like, should be adjusting budgets. Realizing that there are people like literally handheld gaming, dedicated handheld gaming, our PlayStation Portables, our Game Boys, our Nintendo DSs, our Game Gears, they came at the wrong time. Now is when these things should exist because you can have a much cheaper alternative with budget games that sell for $30 or $40 at maximum. The hardware itself is cheaper. Companies don't have to put as much resources into things, but no, we got rid of that because we went with the hybrid system with the Switch 1. Great idea. But I don't think everyone kind of foresaw this happening as to the point of where it's like, well, cheaper games, cheaper consoles are no longer going to exist. Nobody thought that when the Switch 1 first came out that the system would cost more than it does initially 8 years later. Never a price drop. Never anything. Maybe a little sale here and there, but never an official price drop. And that was way before we started talking about other things as macroeconomic situations. I don't know what people are supposed to do. Like, I'm fine. I can still buy games. I can still buy consoles and stuff like that. I'm okay because this is my work. This is my job. This is, this is what I do for a living. But the average person, the average, you go back. Oh man, I saw something very interesting. One of the things I always talk about is how the younger generation, like 18 to 24, they're not really buying games. And then some data came out that generation is still playing on consoles though. So consoles are still relevant, and everyone kind of ran with that. This was like a couple of days ago, and I didn't say anything because Jesus Christ, I was dealing with a bunch of stuff. But I didn't say anything, but I looked at that data and I'm like, well, okay. That data is probably accurate. People are playing on consoles. But what are they playing? Those free-to-play games that they're not buying. They're not buying those games. They might put money into it. They might put money into wanting to play the game and get the new skins and the new stuff. But I'm sure a vast majority of those people are playing free-to-play games. And then they are purchasing microtransactions. So is that what video games need to do? Everything needs to be free to play slop. Single player narratives are going to go away, or maybe be like one game a generation? Because at some point, people are going to run out of money. Regardless of why this is happening, at some point in time, people are going to run out of money. They're going to have to decide, well, do I want to pay my light bill, or do I want to play the newest PlayStation or Nintendo game? And I think that's a very easy choice for a vast majority of consumers. And once software and hardware sales start to slow down because you've overpriced and you've priced out your people that can afford this sort of stuff, what the hell happens then? When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Anyways, guys, I just felt like talking about this today. I don't really know. I'm going to my great aunt's 94th birthday party here in a few minutes, but I wanted to make a video. I wanted to check in with you guys. So let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. Your thoughts, your queries, and I don't want to hear the why to why you think this is this way, because I feel like we've moved past that point. I want to know what you think is going to happen, how you see this playing out, because regardless of the why it's happening, and it's not going to get any better magically anytime soon. If anything, there is data to support that things are going to continually get more expensive. And if so, what is the breaking point for people? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, share, hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.